Okay, and welcome everyone to this, the ninth Housing Repairs Online Show and Share at Newark and Sherwood District Council. Before I cover off what we're going to share with you today, just a quick reminder of why we do these show and shares. They're an opportunity for us, the core team, to celebrate what we've achieved, demo any working software and share information on progress made. But most importantly, it's to give you, our collaborators and supporters, an opportunity to give your feedback on what we share and ask any questions that you may have. Next slide. So what are we going to cover today? Well, in a moment, I'll just remind you who's in the core team, share our vision before handing over to Bhavesh, our lead engineer, who will talk to you about the user entered data that we're now flowing to DRS and the benefits. We'll then hear from Rene, a software engineer from Maytech, who will talk to you about how we're making the content easily configurable. I'll then give a quick update on progress made in the current sprint and our focus for the next. I'll then hand over to Kristen, our product owner, who will tell you how you can engage with the project. And like I say, we'll have opportunities for you to give us any feedback and ask any questions at the end. So what is our vision? Well, it's design and build a reusable and accessible online reporting tool that requires no login, and most importantly, residents prefer to use as it meets their needs. A tool that is integratable with various scheduling systems through open, scalable and accessible APIs, enabling the tool we hope to be adopted by local authorities across the UK. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Bhavesh.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm going to be talking about user-entered data in our service that we need to flow through to the scheduling system, particularly in this case DRS. Now, we asked, particularly on screen here, you can see that we asked the resident to enter some description describing the nature of their problem, and we needed to send this into DRS so that the customer service agents can see it, but also that the trades operatives can see it, and I'll come on to more of that information later. So once this information is entered and we can flow it to DRS, the customer service agent can validate what has been entered in comparison to matching what has been identified by the resident in the triage system in the three options that they can select of where the problem is, what the problem is, and the best description. And if those two don't match, they can follow up and make amendments by either phoning the resident or applying a correct SOAR code. And another action that they can take is to remove personally identifiable information to ensure that that's not saved to DRS. The resident may well have entered something in there, and that information shouldn't be retained for many reasons. During this work, we discovered that the field for DRS particularly is limited to 255 characters. So we've managed to make sure, we've ensured that the resident can only enter this maximum number of characters to describe their problem. Now, part of this work is will also manage the risks and drive efficiency, and the risk being that it removes human error from when transferring data from the DRS job to the housing management system, in particularly Capita and Newark. And also in terms of efficiency, it puts the information in front of the trades operatives who can plan the jobs better and can identify what tools are needed, what materials, and so on and so forth. And on the right here, we can see that the communal journey, we've added a field which helps identify exactly where the problem is, which the user can enter. So for communal journeys, there'll be no one there to assist. The resident won't be present. Well, they don't have to be present. And so the trades operative would need a little bit more information to identify where the problem is. And so we've added an extra field. And now the combination of these two fields still needs to adhere to that the limit there, 255 characters. And so we've split that. So 50 characters is assigned to describing where the problem is, and the 200, and obviously that doesn't add up to 255, but 200 is allowed for the problem description. I'm going to hand it over to Rene now. Thank you.
Thanks, Bhavesh. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rene, and I'll be talking about the work we've been doing to make the local authority content configurable. So why are we doing this? Well, we want to enable local authorities adopting this service to get this service running with as few code changes as possible, as well as making this service more customizable. So what does that mean for the local authority adopting the service? Well, the local authority will just need to define a specific detail just once. So for example, a contact us number or links to accessibility, whatever that detail is, they'll just need to define it once and the code will grab it and use it in all the places required. So as you can see, we've got two examples. We've got a page or a screenshot from the Lincoln service and a screenshot of the current work in progress Newark. And I want to bring our attention to the highlighted boxes. So for example, you can see on the left in Lincoln's, we've got the emergency out of hours repair telephone number that is specific to Lincoln. And if you considered before doing this work, what we would have to have done to change this to be Newark would be going to the code, and all the places where this number is defined would have to change. So not just this page, anywhere else where this number needs to appear, we would have to go in and make those code changes. But with the work we're doing, it will just need to be defined once and the code will pull it in. Another thing I want to bring our attention to is a use case that we found with opening hours. In terms of Lincoln wanted to display a list of times. So we can see that in Lincoln's case, they've got different times on a Wednesday, on a Friday, but Newark were happy with just a single sentence to describe the opening hours. And that's something we've also accommodated. So if a council wants to define opening hours as a list of times, they can do that. If they want to define it as a sentence, they can do that. And it'll only need to be defined once and it'll be pulled in all the places that it needs to be shown. We've also been considering the tests as part of this work, since tests and code will go hand in hand. So ideally, if we don't want to have to make any code changes, we also don't want to have to update any tests. We want to make sure that these tests are agnostic. So they test that the behavior is what we expect and not that we're looking for specific detail, which makes them reusable and reproducible. So these changes will help any local authority who wants to adopt this service to spin up the service faster, as all they'll need to do, like I mentioned before, is define it in one place, a single source of definitions, and the code would pull it and put it where it needs to be. And I think I'll hand over to Paul.
Thank you, Bhavesh and Rani, for those updates. So can we go back to the previous slide, please? I think we've jumped a slide there. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick recap on progress made in our current sprint. We've implemented now our data-driven UI. We've also set up Gov Notify for live and production in preparation for the MVP tenant repair service going live at Newark and Sherwood. We've implemented the infrastructure to display the address information in the front end. And as you've heard, we've progressed the flowing of user entered information to DRS, and we've made local authority content easily configurable. In addition to that, we've upgraded our APIs from .NET 5 to 6, and that will improve performance and enhance security. And we've progressed the separation of describe your problem from photo upload based on previous user research. Next slide. So what's our focus for our next sprint? Like I say, is to complete the MVP tenant repair service customization so it meets Newark and Sherwood's needs. We'll then be looking to go live with that MVP tenant repair service. We'll complete the separation of describe your problem from photo upload. We'll look to perform a text bite to investigate how the repair number can be kept when a user changes their repair appointment after submitting a repair. We'll complete the flowing of user entered data to DRS, but this time for all 3 repair journeys. And we'll start to build out the full how to repair online service pages, starting with those pages which are common across all 3 journeys. And here is a list of those that we'll be working on. Okay. I think I'm handing over now to Kristen.
Yeah, my turn again. So really it's a case of our usual conversation that we have of we do want more people involved. This is something that we are building, not just for the small number of local authorities that are involved, but we want to build it so it's usable by everyone. So if you've got comments, if you've got feedback, if you would like to actually try out the prototype for yourself, please do reach out to us. We don't bite. We love to have a good conversation. Happy to talk about it. We're happy to demonstrate it, but also quite happy for you to just try it out for yourself. So please do get in touch with us. get the details, have a look, and then talk to us. Tell us what you need as well. How doesn't this meet your needs? Because we're already starting to look ahead. We've not actually got that long until this phase ends. So we need to know, well, what should we be focusing on next? Where should we be focusing to get the best value for money and to make it the most use for as many people as possible? So please do get in touch. We're also at local digital the local digital gov camp on Thursday. So if you're there, please come and say hello. I'm there. Dave Richardson from Newark and Sherwood's there. Fraser is around. So yeah, there's a few of us around. Come and say hello. Have a conversation with us there. More than happy to talk about it and also hear what else other people are doing. So yeah, please do come and introduce yourselves, start up those conversations if you happen to be there. I think I'm now passing back to Paul.
Thank you, Kristen. So yeah, this is your opportunity to ask us any questions or give feedback on what we've shared with you today. You can either unmute yourself and ask the question, or you just can drop it in the chat and we'll answer it that way. Leon.
Hi, Paul. Leon Aki from Local Digital. Thank you for your presentation so far. One of your early slides, when you were explaining your vision, you stated that the tool was designed to be integratable with various scheduling systems. Which systems have you integrated with so far?
Currently, we've only integrated with DRS scheduling system, but we're looking for more opportunities to integrate with other scheduling systems that are out there. Bhavesh, do you want to add anything more to that?
We are, yeah, no, only thing I'd add is there are a couple that we are in talks with at the moment. But yeah, any more people to the party will help us expand the scope of the adoptability.
Kristen, you mentioned also that if people want to try out the service, is there a publicly available demo site or prototype that councils can access?
So we have a prototype. Just to control that, it's a case of if you can get in touch with us either through the website, through the blog, through Teams, through the actual meeting invite, any one of those channels, or find us on LinkedIn, wherever you want. Drop us a line and we'll send those details out to you as soon as you can. It can be to myself, to Wendy Banks from Lincoln, or Paul. Any of us can provide them. Fraser, we've all got access to it. I'm more than happy to share.
Tom, you've got your hand up.
Cheers. Yeah, so I've been away for a month. I've kind of lost the thread on various things. What's the roadmap for the rest of this phase? What are we kind of aiming to achieve with it, and then what's going to be in subsequent phases?
In terms of the roadmap for this phase, as I touched on earlier, we're going to be going live next with the tenant MVP service that's currently live at City of Lincoln at Newark and Sherwood. Beyond that, we're starting to build out the full service. So that will cover all three repair journeys. So that's tenant, leasehold and communal. And towards the end of this phase, we'll be proving ease of replication with the NEC system. And we're working with NEC to enable that.
Okay, cool.
Just to add, there's the cancel and amend appointment as well.
Of course, sorry. Thanks for reminding us. Yeah. So as you know, the MVP service doesn't only enables a resident to book a repair. It doesn't enable them to change or cancel, but that will be built into that tenant repair as part of this phase. In terms of the next phase, shall I hand over to you on that one, Kristen? I think you've got some ideas around that.
Yeah, so we've got a few ideas, but at the moment, really, we're starting to discuss that. But we have some ideas from what we know, from what we've seen, and the sort of questions that we're getting asked as to what we want. But actually, what we want is more people to actually input in that, because what may be a priority for us in Lincoln may actually not be a priority for other authorities, and there may be something that's far more pressing that it would actually be better used to request funding for. So we need to start having those conversations if you want to get involved in them within the next couple of months, because we're already starting to pull those threads together so that we can get the bid in for continued funding sort of into the new year.
Okay, cool. How many sprints do we have left on this phase?
We're currently looking to complete this phase in around mid-November.
Okay, that's like cool. Okay, sweet. So that's like what, 3-4 sprints?
About 3 or 4 sprints, yes. But as you know, we're working in an agile way, and you know, that may flex slightly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom, for your questions. Paul, you got your hand up.
Hi, Paul. Yeah, just 2 questions about the content configuration. One was like, how's that actually done? How's it facilitated? Is it through a config file or something? And then the second one was, do you have something that shows in detail all the different parts of the whole journey that can be configured?
Well, in terms of the first question, I think we'll hand over to Renee to answer.
Yes, so I can answer the first question. Sorry, actually, can you repeat the first question for me again?
It was just how are the content changes actually made? Is it kind of like done through a config file or some other kind of?
So we're using
update, you know.
Yeah. So what we're using is we've got our pipeline is GitHub Actions. So what we're doing is we're putting those values as part of our pipeline. So every time the code is deployed, it grabs them and it's saved as it deploys it with the code. So it's in GitHub Actions. As per sorry, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. And as per the second question, sorry, so are you asking around how to know all the different values you can configure?
Yeah, I was just wondering if, because I mean, you know, obviously I've got access to the prototype, so I can see the whole journey, but I guess it would just be good to see something that shows all the different elements that are actually updatable.
Yes, so as part of this work, and forgot to mention, we do have documentation that if you adopt this code, then you'd be given, there's documentation around what are those things you can update and the format that ideally you should follow, or like examples of what you can put in and how it will look. So there is documentation around what are those values, what are those environment variables, or the content that you can change, and examples of what you can put in and what it will look like.
And is that available now, or will it be available at some point in the future?
So that is currently documentation we're working on, but it is available, it is publicly available.
Okay, so that's in the repository and like
yes.
GitHub or something at the moment. Okay, cool, thank you.
Yep.
All right, nice one, thanks.
Thanks for your questions, Paul. Okay, is there anybody else who's got any questions for the team or any feedback? Paul, again, that you jumped in first.
Me? No.
No?
I hand up. I still hadn't put it down, so.
Okay, okay, it's fine. Leon.
Yeah, sorry. I understand that you've built the MVP at Lincoln, Hackney, and it's currently being built at Newark and Sherwood and Redbridge. What's the average time frame for a council build of the housing repair service?
If the local authority is taking the existing MVP, again, you know, we'd have to sit down with that local authority, understand what their needs are, but typically that time frame is between 10 and 12 weeks.
Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, we're aiming for about that time frame at Redbridge, and that's including building new integrations with MCM.
Great to hear, Tom. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? Any more feedback? Is there something in the chat? No? Last chance, everybody? If not, I'll take it there's no more questions that anyone wants to ask, and I'll just thank everyone for attending. Hopefully you enjoyed what we shared with you today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
all.
Thanks.